First time doing this for just us two for ages.
I know. Since episode 31. Now this is episode 73 or 72.
Alright. Feels a bit weird doing it. But there's a lot to talk about, I think.
Yeah, this is an emergency broadcast video.
Country's going to fucking pot. Mass riots everywhere.
I think it's a good thing that we speak about it because of this, what the situation is and what our opinions are on the situation. Because the situation's about immigrants in England, which we come from immigrant descent. So it affects us in a weird way.
Yeah, I feel weird about it because I do think immigration is part of a problem in the UK. I'm not saying it's the biggest problem, it's the only problem, but I do think it is part of the problem in the UK. And mass migration at the rate that's been coming in at is way too high. And it having a massive influx of migrants coming in causes problems with people adjusting to the culture of the UK. And that's where you're starting to see these tensions rising. And I think what's going on is fucking a bit too fucking crazy. I can see why people are taking it to this level because I don't think it's just about the migrant issue. I think it's just a way for them to vent their anger and show the government that they're unhappy. I think the migrant issue is just something that they can cling on to and use as part of the reason why.
Yeah, I think something I was listening to today and the way he described it was perfect. And he was saying that if you look at the people rioting, not all of them, but majority of them seem as if they're low income people. And they're the ones that are getting affected by the housing crisis. For example, they can't move out from the parents' house and buy a home. They're struggling with food, struggling with bills, they're struggling with having fun and entertainment because of the crazy inflation and just the absolute ridiculousness of the cost of living in England right now. And when you look at things like the housing crisis, the banking crisis, and obviously like extreme inflation, it's not something that people can like physically see. And because so many people are sort of detached from banking or detached from real estate, they can't physically like actually see what's going on. There's no exact reason for it in their eyes. So it's just something that's they've got to get on with and it's affecting them. But when it comes to the migration problem and obviously what the migrants are doing, like attacking people or whatnot, and what the uproar's about is that's something at first hand that they can see. And if you look at it in a really dumbed down situation, these people can see it. Like they can see coloured people walking around the street thinking, hold on a minute, they don't belong here. It's as easy and simple as that for them to be able to see it. Whereas all the other problems, they're unable to identify them as easy.
It's a simple explanation for a whole host of problems that a whole host of things that have happened and issues that have been caused. And I think that's where the likes of like Tommy Robinson and Kate Hopkins and the Reform Party, I think they play on the back of that. Like people can see migrants coming in. This is an issue here. We can say that the migrants causing this issue there. And then that gets people like, oh yeah, like 20 years ago, there weren't this many migrants in the country. And now there are. 20 years ago, I had more disposable income. 20 years ago, my mortgage was lower, my rent was lower, and now everything's gone sky high. So it's easy to say, yeah, it's the migrants. I point the finger at the migrants. But it's a tactic to divide. It's a tactic that's only going to divide and cause problems that are happening now. Whereas we should really be looking at the people at the top, the people who, after 2008 financial crisis, have printed shitload of money. In COVID, printed 40% of our money supply, and in effect made asset prices go higher, house prices, stock market, made the people who own assets richer because those are the things that are being inflated, and then made low income people poorer, or the lower the lower middle class to lower income people poorer because goods are they're gonna have to their money is worth less, so they're gonna have to spend more to survive, be able to accumulate any assets at all. So it gives them no ability to plan for the future because they don't know how long their money's going to last them.
Yeah, so then they're out of control, and then they are controlled by the government. You can,
Yeah. So my main point is we're pointing the fingers at the wrong people. We should be pointing the fingers at the people in power, the people who control the money supply, the people who are like, I saw this picture, right, and it was like had some like bald guy in a suit, and he had like a plate of cookies, like a massive pile of cookies, and then there was like a native person, British person, and a migrant, and the migrant had one cookie on his plate, and the British person had no cookies, and then the guy with like loads of cookies in his suit goes to the British guy, look at that guy, he's taking your last cookie, but he's got loads on his plate. So it's just a way to rile people up and divide the population even more, which is what we're seeing, like massive division now, which is perfect for the government and powers that be to put their plans into place to.
yeah. Well, let's just say it how it is.
More.
It's good for Keir Starmer and his World Economic Forum plans.
Yeah, but is Keir Starmer even in power? Like,
he's a puppet, right?
Yeah, and you can see that from his shit speeches that divide the population even more. You can see that he doesn't believe in what he's saying. He's just reading off a script that's probably written for him. It's probably the first time he's read it.
Yeah, he's probably reading it like, what the fuck? I'm meant to be saying this.
I was listening to a guy, this guy on YouTube, body language expert or something, I think his name is. And he was breaking down the speech, and he was saying, like, so Keir Starmer says, uses the words far right thugs. So he says, we're going to be using all the power of the law to clamp down on these far right thugs. And then he also says, the Muslim community will be protected at all costs. So I'm paraphrasing, I don't know if those are his exact words, but he definitely used the words far right thugs of the Muslim community. Whereas, so by him saying that, he's labelled two groups of people, and automatically the people who were at those riots and at the protest will then be like, whoa, so I'm a far right thug now. And then the Muslim community will be like, oh, these far right thugs are after us. So he's causing massive division there. Whereas the words he should have used are, instead of far right thugs, because this was after the Southport thing. So he should have said unlawful citizens.
Not categorize them as any political party.
Because if he said unlawful citizens, then it means the people who are going out and causing havoc on the streets. It means the people that are doing these like murders and terrorist attacks, because they're also unlawful. So it branches all those in one category. And then for Muslim community, instead of just labeling Muslim community, he should have said law-abiding citizens. Because then he's protecting everybody and not just the Muslim community.
Right, yeah.
And these are words that are more inclusive words, because the broader and the include, it still gets his message across, but they just include everybody. So everybody knows where they stand.
Yeah, so it's clear from that analysis that it is a ploy for division.
Yeah, and he's a lawyer as well, so he's been a lawyer like all of his life, all of his like adult life, career. So he knows exactly how to use words and what words are right and what words are wrong in what scenario.
Yeah, I think I watched it. This guy's been around for a while. I think I watched him analyze a World Economic Forum, like a Klaus Schwab speech or something.
Yeah, he's from like Venezuela or something. The guy who does videos. Yeah, he's good. Um, but yeah, I just thought it was an interesting video because it shows like the power of words, and we've done a podcast with Gavin Young, was it? Gavin Young. Yeah,
Philosopher.
yeah, and the main like outline of that podcast was the power of words and how words could be used to divide.
Yeah, and this is a clear example of it. Um, what do you think about the media's portrayal of what's going on at the moment? As in BBC or Sky?
It's similar to the government's view, right? They're just following that trajectory of far right thugs and Muslim community. That's from what I've seen of it. I've not really watched much mainstream media on it.
Yeah, well, like I said to you before when I was just watching it, it just pops on when I'm watching the Olympics, which is on BBC. Um, and yeah, it is just exactly it's like it's written off a script like it is anyway. But the script comes down from Keir Starmer, and they're reporting on it in the exact same way that he retaliated to it with his speech.
Yeah, it's just establishment control media, and it? It's what we get now. So I don't really pay attention to it. I just sometimes have a look at it to see what kind of narrative to spin. But
Sometimes it's interesting to see how the other side are living.
yeah, like I showed you some videos from Sky News just come up now of them in Birmingham. And there's like Muslim gangs walking around with knives and like all masked up and stuff. So they're just as bad as the far right thugs.
Yeah, retaliating, right?
Yeah,
But they've been driven to do this. But when I was watching the Olympics, like yesterday or over the weekend or whatever, when it was all going down, on the BBC report, there was a Muslim guy saying to everyone, return all of your weapons back to the mosques.
yeah. I've seen some like on Twitter as well. I've seen some mosque like leaders of the mosques basically saying like, "Don't retaliate. Let the police do the jobs. We'll just stay in the mosque. Everyone just stay safe and stay calm." So basically, they're trying to basically they're doing what Keir Starmer should have done,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's what called being a leader is.
But then there's other evidence of it being a, this whole thing's a complete setup, and that's the protests in London when they were caging them all in, which was on the Friday, or it might have been the Thursday
Yeah,
after the
I
stabbing.
think it's on the Thursday.
They were just the police were just caging them in, like
Yeah,
and
agitating them
agitating
and
them
arrested
and getting them
everybody.
rolled up, and then just arresting everyone. And now they're coming out with numbers like, was it like 300 arrests have been done? But we can see from independent media that are at these rallies, at these protests. I don't even know if you can't call them peaceful protests anymore. But we're at these what
Well, one
were
in London was
yeah, they were
it was
peaceful
started off
protests.
peaceful, but then it got violent. Well, it didn't get as violent as it's got as it is now and has been before. But just through cans and stuff at the police, isn't
But
there?
it's even after that happened and they were just arresting random people just to get their arrest figures up, what it seemed like, and just to get everyone a bit agitated. We spoke and we even said, that's it now. Like after this weekend, it's going to be utter chaos. And the weekend's gone, Monday's gone, and now we're recording this on the Tuesday. And there's fucking riots everywhere in like near enough every major city.
Yeah, it's still going on tonight, and it's going to be going on for the next few weeks, I reckon.
Yeah,
I don't think we've seen the end of it. I think it's going to be a pretty crazy month or so.
yeah. Well, Keir Starmer's only been in power for a month and the country's burning to bits.
Yeah, people say that. Oh, you can't blame Keir Starmer because he's only been in power a month. This is down to the Tories. It's their policies. And I do agree that the Tories fucking had some shit policies and worse shit and caused a lot of these problems that are happening now. But Keir Starmer also added fuel to the fire with his shit speeches, agitating everybody.
Well, yeah, you can blame it on the Tories, which is fair enough because they were a shit party. I mean, every government party that is going to get elected is going to be an absolute shit show anyway. And you can blame it on them because they did kind of cock up everything as much as they possibly could. But then they handed over the reins to Keir Starmer. And so let's just say, for example, it wasn't Keir Starmer's fault, it was all the Tories' fault. Keir Starmer has a chance to show people how he's going to be able to fix things. And his speech showed only the opposite. He only showed that he's trying to entice everyone into this sort of vulgar behavior even more.
Yeah. His speech was to. His speech basically declared war on he basically declared war on the people who want to be heard and are struggling in
Yeah,
life.
because he's not to this day, like even on mainstream media, like when you go on independent media and you look on independent news sites and just anyone independently talking about it, they everyone knows what the issues are, the big issues, but no one seems to be identifying it at all out of the Labour government or um, mainstream media. They're not even acknowledging what these people want. They just think that these people are just labeling them. Well, they're not labeling them as racist, but they're sort of painting the picture that these are just racist thugs
Well, some
with
of them are
absolute.
though. Some of them are racist folks. You can't take that away from the thing that some of them definitely are. But I think like when they did the protest, not this Saturday, just gone the Saturday before, there were probably racist thugs there. But I'd say the mass majority of people there had genuine grievances with the government and how the country's being run. That they're the kind of people that need to be listened to. And the problem that all this has caused now, these riots, is they can label every single one of them people who attended. I think there's like 40 or 50,000. I think I heard attended Saturday. They can label every single one of them as far right thugs now. So it's completely like put a stop to it.
Well, it's basically what they've managed to do is, I would say, probably quite smart from their end if they want to plaster over the actual problems of the country by doing this categorization of the people and labeling of the people has completely diverted the attention of most normal people who, if they did get a sniff of what the actual root cause of the problems were, it might wake them people up and might make them start questioning, oh, hold on a minute, actually it is a bit bad. But instead of that, they've just okay, they're all far right bugs, absolutely just generating carnage. Just keep out of the way and let the police handle it.
I don't know how this is going to end. I know one thing is going to happen is we're going to lose some more of our freedoms at the end of it all. But I don't know how far it has to escalate before
Before that happens.
new laws are put in place and our freedoms are taken away.
If it is what we believe it is and it is a setup, and by saying that, we're saying whoever the power in the WAF, whatever it is that want this to go down, and all of these Tommy Robinson, Nigel Farage are just being played as everything's just being played as pawns. Like I know Tommy Robinson makes a shitload of money off stuff like this. Like he's probably happy this is happening right now because he's probably making a shit ton of money from it. Which is a way of incentivizing him to keep going and keep playing at this game, get everyone riled up, and it will be sooner or later if it does escalate even further than it is. And I can't see it slowing down because every time I log on to anything, it's another city that's basically on fire. So it's just going
Yeah,
to end
it's
up
just
in
getting worse,
lockdowns.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's just going to end up in lockdowns, and we all know what comes after lockdowns. It will be okay. You can't go out because it's too dangerous.
Curfew.
You need to be curfewed, lockdown. Everything will be there. It will just be like the pandemic 2.0 with more fear in normal law-abiding citizens like ourselves. There will just be more fear to say we can't go outside because you're going to get battered by this side, or you can't go outside, you're going to get beaten up by this side. So then you just have to stay at home. And then they'll be like, right, now it's safe to go out. Now we've got facial recognition drones flying up and down every street. And then, yeah, that's another freedom gone. What's going to happen if it keeps escalating and escalating? We'll come back to it again, and it will be like a world slightly different to the world that we saw before the first sort of protest took place.
Yeah, like when COVID happened, it was we came out of COVID and it was like the world was the same, but it felt different, and it has been like 100% different since
Well, you felt
pre-COVID.
like that because in COVID there was such a massive divide, and then you felt that aftermath of divide afterwards, where even when you were talking to normal people that you just met, you was trying to work out what side of the divide are you on, and it's so like weird to feel that when you're just having a conversation with a stranger that you met, you're sort of trying to figure him out, saying, "Does this guy know that COVID was massive?"
We still do that now, not even about COVID, just about any political issue.
Yeah, and it does feel like the same exact same thing. Do you remember the lead up to COVID? Everyone kept checking the news every day. Oh, it's getting closer. Oh, it's getting worse. Oh, there's more numbers. That's the same thing they seem to be doing with these arrests because it's like it's gone from 90 arrests to 100 arrests, 200 arrests, and then it says 300 arrests. And then when I was watching the BBC news before when it came on during the Olympics, um, it was saying that this number 300 is only going to increase massively once the technology is being used can identify more of the people that have been involved. And they said as it keeps going on, more and more people are going to think they got away with it, and then that number is just going to skyrocket because the technologies will be used to identify more and more of these people. So it's all a game of numbers. It's the same way that the pandemic was. It was all big game of numbers, and then numbers generate fear.
Keir Starmer announced that he's releasing a load of people from prison.
Hmm.
Did you hear that?
No.
He announced that he's releasing a load of people from prison because there's not enough space in prisons.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen if all these people get arrested. Are they go to prison or what?
Well, does that not kind of play into
Or is he just released these people early from prison to free up space for these riots?
he's released people that were already in prison pre the riots?
Yeah, it was announced like probably a week before the riots that he's releasing loads of people from prison.
This is a bad spiral because they're going to come out and a lot of them are going to join the riots.
It's a bit weird, isn't it, that all this has happened and he's announced that.
It plays into what we're saying though, right? That these guys will come out and they'll join the carnage. Like we know that the whole prison sort of process isn't good for the criminals. They don't get let out and they don't rehab.
Yeah, it's like that pot of paper he raps about. Says I think he went in prison at 16. And he came out with a gun and a line or something.
That's what it's like though. So these guys are going to come out. They're not going to be embedded back into society properly, and they're going to be like, "Well, what do I do? My country, my city that I live in's like rioting." They're just going to join the riot.
Yeah. Yeah, 20,000 inmates over many months, it says.
So these protesters have attacked. They set fire to a police station. They've attacked a hotel full of migrants. I did see someone running out of Greg's with a full tray of Greg's sausage rolls.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, where do you think? How do you see this stopping or slowing down? Let's say, as we can see at the moment, the police are struggling to control the situation. Let's just say that they can't control the situation. How does this slow down?
I have no idea. I
Because a
don't
lot
know.
of them are looking. Well, you got to look at like these guys hate Keir Starmer. That's a given, and they're looking up to people like Tommy Robinson, who, like I said earlier, is making a lot of money off this whole process. So I think he might be the last person to come out and say, "Look, we need to stop this. You're destroying."
Well, basically, what Keir Starmer should have done in his speech is it's too late now, though. Even if you say, if he comes out now, does U-turn and says, right, we're going to crack down on migrants by doing this. It's the people already gone fucking nuts. Like, you should have done that initially, and then everyone would have, it wouldn't have got to the stage.
That's just what I don't know. That you would any normal person giving a speech would identify. We've always talked about this problem solution focus, and there's a problem, and his solution is just to say, I'm going to crack down heavier on the thugs.
We have a root problem. Then there's a reaction to that root problem. And instead of trying to find a solution for the root problem, we find a solution to the reaction.
Yeah. Do you think? What do you think the outcome would have been if Nigel Farage got into the power instead of Labour?
This won't happen. This won't be happening now. The left would be protesting.
Rioting. They'll be protesting.
Not rioting. I don't know if they'll be rioting. Like, maybe because they did it in BLM, didn't they? They were ripping down statues and stuff.
Yeah. That could have even been more carnage, to be fair, if the left started protesting and ripping down stuff, and then if the rights retaliated to that.
I don't think the right would do. I don't think they'd be that bothered.
Yeah, just let them do it.
Because they did it in BLM and no one retaliated, did they?
Yeah.
And it's not the left retaliating to the right now. It's just Muslims, isn't it?
Elon Musk came out and said that the civil war in the UK is inevitable.
I always thought civil war would happen in America first, and I thought it would just happen here because it happened in America.
Yeah.
But it shows how quickly things can change.
Yeah. This whole like 2 weeks has been just chaos. You've got Trump getting his ear shot off. Keir Starmer came in power and carnage has erupted. US are sending ships to Iran.
The stock market almost crashed today.
The stock market almost crashed.
Yeah, Japan's stock market fully crashed last night. So then when this morning when I woke up, everyone was fretting about Western stock markets crashing.
Do you know what the reason is for that?
Japan's in the craziest amount of that. I think it's like 200% of the GDP. 217.2% of their nominal GDP as of March 24. To put it into context, I'll get it up actually. So like the US's debt to GDP ratio is 89.81. UK's is 109.55. It said Japan's is 301 here. Maybe. Don't know how accurate this thing is.
This is kind of fucked up just sat here watching these numbers.
Yeah. This thing isn't accurate though, but they've like kind of calculated how much debt over a certain amount of time the US accumulates, and then
Yeah.
just on that.
It's accurate enough though to get a good gauge of
Yeah,
what
so you get a gauge. Yeah,
debt per taxpayer, debt per citizen. What the
it's fucked up in it.
Yeah, this is not something you want to look at.
That's how much interest they've paid. Numbers you can't even comprehend,
Ah.
and that's just interest.
This just makes you realize that the whole financial system is a fucking joke. This is like when you're playing a video game or something and you cheat for money and then everything just goes fucked up in the game.
But that's what we're working with. So I think
The problem is, right, you and I and every other person, you trade your time for money. And when you start trading your time for money to an extent where that money then doesn't give you the ability to be able to afford to survive, or no, you can probably survive, but you can't even live a half comfortable life, then people are going to start thinking like this is shit. I'm working all this time and I'm just about covering a food shop. And even like we talked about it the other day as well. And even like you've gone down to getting bare roots, like basic items that you need for survival. And so like it's gone like you cut out, I don't know, like a bottle of wine that you might want to get or something because you can't afford it. Then you start going to work thinking this isn't right, and then your taxes are going up. It come out that was it that Martin Lewis said on October the 4th, I think, that gas prices are gonna go up 77%
are they?
on October 4th, and then another one in January, mid-January, they're gonna go up again. And it's like there's a what's it
They've
called
already
that?
gone up like fucking. So I moved into this place in 2022, November 2022, and our bills have more than doubled since,
And they're gonna go up again.
and they're going up again.
And then council tax is gonna start ripping people apart. That's what I mean. Like if you're working, you're trading your time for this money, and then this money's either getting blasted to the government or to these big corporations on living costs. People are going to start thinking, like, why am I working all these hours in this job, which is really like mind-numbing job, to come home and just struggle.
Yeah, and this is where like with energy costs as well, that is a massive impact on the economy. So when gas prices go up, everything else will increase. Like not everything else, but other things will
Yeah,
increase.
it's like the infrastructure
Yeah,
costs go
on the
up.
side of it, and this is all these green initiatives pushing, um, trying to push out natural gas. So all it's doing is making our lives now way more expensive at a time where people can't afford to be paying more on gas because the food bill's already gone up 50 to 75%.
But do you not think it's very weird that gas prices, housing utilities are going up when you can probably see that we're going to get put on a lockdown very soon as well? Like that is it's the final nail in the coffin. Then if we go into another lockdown, the last one didn't do anyone well.
Well, it's the great reset. Innit? I was listening to Majid Nawaz's Rogan podcast. I listened to and if anyone's not listened to it, I'd recommend it. Listen to the last hour of it. The first hour he's talking, you can listen to it all, obviously. The last hour of it is like, I return back to that every now and then and listen to it again. The first hour is he's talking about he used to be an ex Islamist extremist, and he's come out of that now. But he talks about like his time in Egypt and his time in prison and stuff. And then the second hour is they're talking mainly about the vaccine and COVID because they filmed it around COVID time, I think 2022, so just at the end of COVID. Um, but then the last hour, he's talking about CBDCs, the Great Reset, um, all these agendas that are happening um, in the UK and around the world. So I do recommend it. I forgot what my point was, but I brought him up now. Yeah, so in the last hour of it, he's talking about the Great Reset and CBDCs and the government trying to centralize everything. So centralize surveillance, get digital passports in, and like how they try to push COVID passports in, vaccine passports during the pandemic. But he's saying that when the printing press was first released, the powers, like the people in power, felt threatened by it because before the printing press, people used to go to like the people who are in control were the churches and the kingdom, and they all used to work together. Um, but the churches used to make money off people by reading the Bible to them because they didn't have their own copy of it. The churches used to read it to them and use it as like a means of control. And like he brings up this example of the confessions box. That was a way for people to bribe the churches. So they would tell them what they've done wrong and then pay the vicar a load of money to like make it go away, basically. So that's how like, the confession thing started. They're saying that when the printing press came, it threatened that whole system that they had, using the churches to control people, because everybody could have their own copy of the Bible and read it at home and interpret it in their own way. Um, so he said that what the printing press did is it decentralized information because everyone had access to information. Then, like everybody could get a newspaper, get books, everything was ready to give to all the people, and all the people become knowledgeable in these certain areas. And he said that started the 30-year European War, I think, because it was a war between centralization and decentralization. And he said decentralization won in the end. But he goes, it was a long slog and it took like years to push it through, but it got through. And he's saying what the printing press is comparable to now is the internet, and how the internet is pushing for decentralization of not only information but decentralization of currency. So like now you're seeing like technologies like cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. He doesn't bring Bitcoin up as an example. He says cryptocurrencies. I said Bitcoin because I know it's a decentralized currency. But he said with the internet coming up and it further exacerbating the decentralization of information and currency and the way we communicate with people, the government and the powers that be are trying to crack down and centralize these technologies. And he said he thinks decentralization can push through, but it's going to take hard work and it's going to like probably amount to a war.
Yeah, before we come out the other end of it with decentralization.
So what he's basically saying is that if that took 30 years, it might take 30 years again. But eventually, decentralization will win. Or should win. I don't know if it will. He's not saying it will win it, but it should win. Like, I don't know if it should win, but it should. It could win.
It could win, yeah, because it seems like that time it came around last time, they were very unprepared. That war came about because they were very unprepared for what was what the whole war was about. Whereas now they can probably learn from it the same way we've just learned from it through what you found out. And then that means they also know about it of the printing press sort of revolution. So they can combat it a bit more. They can come at it in a bit more of a prepared way, and it does feel like they are a bit more prepared in a sense. Although it's a bigger job for them to be able to properly embed us with their control.
But the thing is that like we're very divided at the moment, so we can't win anything when we're divided.
We're divided on a whole nother level. We've got a left, right. Now we're getting divided on nationality and color of skin.
You get divided on whether you're pro Israel, pro Palestine. You're divided on whether you're pro Russia, pro Ukraine. Divided whether you're pro vaccine, anti vax.
It's like whenever it comes, because we're in this information age where we're able to access YouTube and Instagram and all these social platforms and see what other people's opinions are. Whenever there's an opinion that's getting a bit too out of hand, then it turns into a division.
It's a problem because the best way to fight anyone that's in control is by saying, no, I'm not doing what you say. But then if there's a majority of the population that comply, then that doesn't work. It only works if the majority of the population doesn't comply.
And you need to have this sort of two-step process into becoming aware of what's going on. And it's a two-step process because I've talked about this before. Because people, for example, like people think that they're waking up and then they think that, okay, I'm waking up, I'm against the government. So then they go and riot and protest and do all this stuff to say we need to stop the immigrants coming in. But they're playing a different game because that's not waking up, that's falling into a nicely laid out trap that the globalists have put out for you to say, oh, yeah, you've woken up, well done, shake your hand, and then push you into the trap. And then you're still a cog in this wheel of shite that they're producing. But to really wake up, you need to look at it and think, hold on a minute, both sides of this are absolute bollocks. And we've said it before when it's like something's happening over here, the government tell you to focus over there, but really you should be looking away from the government completely to really find out what's going on. And they are trying to play like 4D chess with everyone by doing this sort of stuff.
There's a lot of talk about Labour pushing conscription on people. And if that actually is the case, you'd think they would be trying to do what they can to make the population want to fight for Britain.
Right, yeah.
But I can't think of many people that would.
After all of this stuff, I can't see many people at all thinking that it's the right idea.
Yeah. Well, I don't think this is like the main thing. I mean, like, people wouldn't go now because they'd be like, why would I want to fight for a government that doesn't like me?
Yeah, that treats every single citizen like shit. And it's like multifaceted as well, right? Because we've talked about cost of living crisis, the way Keir Starmer was that speech should go down in history as one of the most fucked up speeches that any
Yeah,
politician.
that would be like that speech is like a pivotal moment. I think
Yeah.
he's had a pivotal moment in fucking 4 weeks in charge.
Yeah, he's like, I've been here for a month. I don't want to win any of you over. Let me just tell you how it is. It give me them like Klaus Schwab vibes when Klaus Schwab gives a speech and he's like, I don't want to win you over. I'm going to tell you what we're doing. If you don't like it, then fuck off.
Just arrogant, innit? Arrogance.
Yeah.
It's not like
And that's why I feel like he's more higher up in this World Economic Forum business than Rishi was.
yeah,
Rishi
he
was still a
definitely
puppet,
is.
but I feel like Keir Starmer was maybe had a few internal promotions in there because he's just even more of a World Economic Forum wanker than Rishi was.
Yeah, I wish he wouldn't have come out and done that speech.
No. Boris wouldn't have come out and done that speech, and Boris was the worst guy giving speeches.
Was Boris WEF?
I mean, at this point, we're not really going to see anyone, I don't think, coming into power that's not part of this.
I don't know. Like there's articles here of Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson bans. This is from 2019. Bans UK ministers from elite Davos summit. There's not really much in the article. Just doesn't explain why or anything in the article.
Yeah,
but
it was kind of hard to use now for stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know because I know, like with Boris Johnson, I know like he was fucking shit prime minister, fucking locked us down whilst he was partying and all that crap. But I remember when the pandemic first happened, he wasn't going to lock us down.
Yeah, he was going to do everything he could to
herd immunity, and he was going to be one of the only countries that was going to do it. Like only a few countries that were going to do that. I think Sweden was one. But I don't know what happened, and he might have got forced into lockdown.
He might not be part of him. He might have been in charge at the time. They must have thought, we'll let him ride the wave of the pandemic. As soon as it's over, we know he's an idiot. He's going to have fucked up somewhere, which he did, partying. Let's get him out. And then we can actually put someone... Because that's when the unelected Rishi Sunak came in.
Yeah, because I also just got Boris Johnson as well. I heard other reports during the time of when all this fallout happened, where all the stuff got leaked. He apparently, and we know Charles is WEF member. Apparently, they were at some conference, I think in South Africa, and Boris Johnson said to Charles, he was a prince at the time, he said basically like, stay out of political business. He's like, you're a royal family, like you got nothing to do. The people didn't vote you in, so stay away from it, stay out of it. I think they had like a bit of a dispute, and then all this stuff started getting leaked.
So we've gone from Rishi Sunak coming in unelected, we've got Charles going as king, who's WEF, and now we've managed to vote in a WEF leader.
Yeah, who just says whatever, like Tony Blair says anyway. Because the same time he did that speech, Tony Blair was talking about facial recognition systems in the UK. So it's all corrupt from the disgusting.
We know it's corrupt. We've talked about it for like the last few years, but it almost feels as if it's all falling into place for them now. It's like they're moving the blocks around for it to sort of work now. It's talking about the WEF that Klaus Schwab's, has he stepped down or is he stepping down?
I think he stepped down.
And Yuri's gone up.
I don't think Yuri's taken that position.
He was rumoured to, he was rumoured to take over, right?
Someone else has got it. Borg. Some Norwegian politician. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name. Borg Brande. It's just weird. Yeah, it's weird that this group called the World Economic Forum get together.
Yeah.
Decide on policies that are going to be implemented in countries where World Economic Forum leaders are involved.
It all got fishy from when Klaus Schwab said that speech that we're going to infiltrate the governments.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, it's just World Economic Forum leaders have just been cropping up everywhere.
Have you seen that video of that Poland Prime Minister interviewed by Channel 4? Try to find it.
How many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me, if you're asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
But I asked not about illegal immigrants, I asked about refugees. And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that you're racist. You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
Of course, because this is what our people expecting from our government. That's number one. This is why our government was elected. But this is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we had not even one terrorist attack. Look at the streets in Poland, and we can be called populists, nationalists, racists. I don't care. I care about my family and about my country.
Ms. Lockbeal, I mean...
Holy shit.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. Their party's called the Law and Justice Party.
Is it?
Yeah, he was the leader. He came up when he was speaking, saying that he's the Polish Law and Justice Party.
Well, that was from 2018, that.
That was 2018. And then now look at the state of Europe after he said like he's not had any problems in Poland.
Yeah.
Now there's every single like country's having, like France are burning themselves down.
But that's what you want from your leader, innit? To say, I'm here to do what the people want. I'm here to look after my country and look after my family.
Yeah, you just want. Oh, well, even like yeah, that's very reassuring. But I found it even more confusing. Not confusing, but like when we look at all of our politicians in the UK and in the US and a lot of the other European countries, even as well. When they get asked a question like that, their response, like, yeah, I absolutely need to listen to it like 3 times and really dissect what that fuck the guy's actually saying.
He was just straight to the point.
He just was like, this is my stance on it. Let's move on.
Just like, how many refugees are you taking? He's like, 0.
That's what you want from a leader, is someone that's just direct and just says says exactly what the fuck's going on. So then all of the citizens know what's going on. But in like the UK, we don't actually. It's so blatantly obvious that so much shit goes on behind the scenes, and it's got that obvious that people just accept it. Like, and people accept it to the fact that they act as if we're not supposed to know when we are supposed to fucking know. But we've all accepted that we don't know, and maybe we're not supposed to know. Maybe we shouldn't know that information. Maybe it's dangerous for us to know that information.
Yeah, but I think this is what happens when people have accepted it for so long. This is what it's like. This is what it's brought to the country now.
Yeah, because everyone's now like, "Oh, hold on a fucking minute! Like, well, I need to know at least something because the whole country is going to shit." People are in the situation now where they're like, you need to tell us something. And I think that's another reason why, again, that speech that he gave was just so bad, because people are just looking for some sort of genuinency. That's not right. We're looking for the government to be genuine.
Authenticity.
Yeah, exactly. And at a time of chaos, when we look up to our leader, we want to be reassured, and no one was fucking reassured by that speech. Just people were more clueless.
I think since COVID, the culture's changed where people want to see authenticity in everything, like aspects of their life. They want to see like genuine people. Like you can see it with the rise of podcasts. People want to see just genuine people talking. They don't want to see all this fake bullshit. On a podcast, you can tell straight away when someone's being fake.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see right through it, and people are fed up with the mainstream media, obviously. Now people are getting fed up with TV shows and movies and I don't think people really clocked onto the fact that movies were as much as propaganda as they are until all of the diverse DEI stuff came into movies. And then I think more and more people from that point started looking back onto previous movies and thought, holy shit, like this has been happening for ages. We've just been not wise enough to it.
Yeah. It wasn't as heavy like in your face though back then.
Yeah, now it's like
if the US wanted to go to war, then they'll put a few war films out.
Glamorizing war.
Yeah. Like Jarhead and stuff. All came out around like, Afghan war, Iraq war time.
Yeah, Black Hawk Down.
Now it's just in like everything.
Yeah. Now you watch anything and it's got something in it.
Yeah, there's always that one comment or one just thing where you just think, and even if it's there for no, like, even if it's just there for no purpose, like propaganda purpose, it's just might have just made sense in that scene. I still look at it and think, why the fuck did they done that?
Yeah. But sometimes they put it in there and it doesn't make sense in the scene.
Yeah.
Like, hold on a minute. But then that comes from like the BlackRock funding, right? And these guys need, which is another of the World Economic Forum shite, and that's infiltrated our governments, and then it's infiltrating our entertainment, our TV.
Yeah. I think people who are awake to it can see straight through it, and well, I think a lot of people can see straight through it, not just people who are awake to it. I think people just don't like movies aren't people. If you ask anyone now, like people saying that movies aren't the same as what they used to be. So there is a shift, and people are noticing that there's lack of authenticity or
Do you
in
think
the movies.
do you think the movies will go similar to what's happened with the gaming industry, where when you're when you're gaming, it's all about immersion and you pretending that you're that character, right? That's what stage of. And now all the AAA games are just falling off left, right, and center because is another way of like putting some sort of propaganda into these games. So everyone's like playing indie games with 4 or 5 developers making a game, and they feel like the game's been made.
Yeah, but I don't think that's to do with the propaganda in the games. I think that's to do with the quality of the games dropping off a cliff because they're just money spinning.
Yeah, which I guess hasn't really happened with the movie industry. I mean, they've tried it with like the Fast and Furious series.
If you look at what the big blockbuster movies, all the Marvel movies, like they were a money spinner for Disney. Like any Marvel movie, but people are sick of that now. People don't want to watch them anymore because the same thing over and over, just different Marvel character.
Expendables got quite a lot of movies out.
I can't think of the last good film, maybe Oppenheimer, but I wouldn't say that was anything special. It's not up there in top 10 movies of all time. Can you name a movie from? We're almost halfway through this decade. Can you name a movie from this decade that's even contends for the top 10?
Highest grossing movies instead of the ones recommended for me. Avatar. I didn't watch the new one. Spider-Man, Inside Out, Top Gun, Barbie, Jurassic World. I've actually, on the top 10 highest grossing movies of the 2020s, I've not seen the Avatar #1, #2 Spider-Man, #3 Inside Out, #4 Top Gun, #5 Barbie, #6 Super Mario, #7 Jurassic World, #8 Oppenheimer's. I've seen that. Doctor Strange, Minions. That's the top 10. I've seen one of them.
Yeah, but good movies don't usually get high.
Yeah, cinema views.
Yeah, Boiling Point, that was 2021.
Yeah, that's not like a
indie movie.
That's what I mean though by the same thing that's going on with.
Yeah, but that brings it. That made me think just then. I watched a short documentary about Fred again. It was talking about his rise to fame. Basically, right, he's he's born from like aristocrats, like he's proper wealthy and comes from like a well-to-do family, like with money. And I went to private school and studied classical music. But he said when he was in the classes, he was just always obsessed with hip hop. And so he was always there. Like he said, it made it like he was like quite rebellious in the sense everyone was looking at his classical music, and he was looking at hip hop and how hip hop used classical music and stuff like this. And then he went to uni and carried on his studies, and then somehow I think he went to uni or college, but something happened with one of his assignments, and he failed his first one, and he rushed his second one and passed it. And he's like, you know something, it is a waste of time. Like, if I'm passing it by rushing it, if I'm putting my time into it, I'm failing it. So he just dropped out and then started working with his next door neighbor was next door neighbor's uncle was some like high up in music producing. So he used to just go and like volunteer with him and help him out and stuff, like make cups of tea and all this crap. But then obviously like learned the trade. And then he started producing music for like big pop stars. Like I can't remember the names of them. But they're quite big. Google. His name, he went by his full name. Fred Gibson. But he got like a #1 and stuff with some pop groups.
Ed Sheeran, not Ed Sheeran, was it?
Yeah, I think he's worked with Ed Sheeran.
I know he's worked with him, yeah, but I don't know if it was at the beginning of his time. I think I first heard of him when he started doing it with stuff with Stormzy.
Yeah, but then so he was doing like producing songs for celebrities like Stormzy, Ed Sheeran, and loads of other celebrity big pop stars. And then during COVID, because everyone was locked down, so then he thought he had like a bit of a reflection. He was like, I don't actually like doing this because I'm just making mainstream songs for like things I don't really care about or like music I don't really like. So then he started just making his own shit and then launched with that Boiler Room and then just fucking blew up from there. But basically my point is that after COVID, there's more demand for people like him, like people who have been doing authentic music and not just this mass, like chart music that is just mass produced crap.
Yeah, it almost feels as if everyone was stuck in this zone of like, this is what you're meant to do, go get a job, suffer, have kids, die, and move on. But since COVID, a lot of people woke up and thought, I don't actually know what it was. I can't actually pinpoint what it was that made people realize like, actually, I want to live my life a bit as well as do what I need to do.
Yeah, people realize they want to do what they want to do and not what they're told to do. Some people realize that. I think some people went a bit more the other way.
Yeah, some people got even more comfortable. And that's where stuff like when universal basic income and things like that comes in, so many people are just going to think, oh yeah, I'll adopt that. I'll take it. In the sense that if you say here's £1,500, a lot of people.
In my head, that frees me up to take a risk, like a big risk.
Yeah,
and do something different.
But most, well, no one say I can't say most people. I don't know, but a lot of people that I even know are around would just take that money and do nothing but play video games and whatever.
Yeah, instead of like trying to look for a passion, because I don't think I could just sit in and do that.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people would just do that. But then life would change where it's just like go to the pub more often. Yes, I don't know if you can afford it with £1,500 there. Because the pints are expensive.
But I don't know with UBI. I don't know how they'll implement it, especially after the conversation with Vlad yesterday.
Yeah, it was a good conversation.
I feel like AI is not in a position to replace workers. All right, just to finish up on, I'll share David Icke's tweet, bringing it back to what's going on in the UK and the riots at the moment. So he's tweeted, "Falling for the plot, scenes in Southport near a mosque in the wake of the child murders. They are pawns in a game they don't understand, and this is what they need to know. I've been warning for so long that the plan was to allow unchecked numbers of people from other cultures and religions into the West, mostly adult young men, and then instigate trigger events to create civil war between them and the indigenous culture. We are now there in a classic divide and rule in which two sides manipulated by the same force are brought into conflict to create chaos and mayhem, to 1. Justify fascist laws, 2. Generate widespread fear and anger, and 3. Have the sides so focused on fighting each other that they don't see the strings attached to both held by the same hand. Both sides are being played by a hidden hand via puppet governments with mass immigration that has transformed Western cities with the incoming cultures. This has been coldly calculated for decades, and especially since the Blair era, which set out to culturally change Britain in a way that was irreversible. The focus should be directed at those in political power and their masters in the shadows who have made this happen and go on doing so. Cultures from other lands need to respect the culture they enter and not as they do. Seek to upserve it and impose their own. If you go on doing that, then uncivil war is inevitable. Both sides have been put in this situation by a cult that hates them. Whether white or brown, you're all just human trash to the cult. We have to find a common ground and realise that we are being played off against each other for an agenda that involves the fascist control of us all. Both sides need to realise there is a common foe and to find common cause in responding to that. If we don't, we have seen nothing yet. So that was his response into when the riots erupted in Southport, which I think is quite fitting with like what we've been talking about today, is like the pointing the finger at the wrong person, the wrong people.
Yeah, I think David Icke said he has said it spot on. It is literally all over it.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to end on because it basically summarises our whole conversation, like to a T.
All right, hopefully we'll still be here next week to keep going.